All right, given tangent of theta is -2/3 and cosine of theta has to be greater than 0, so it's got to be positive, we want to find the cosine and we want to find the cosecant. Okay, ultimately we got to figure out where we're going to draw our triangle, not our triangle. Well, technically, yes, our triangle, but ultimately our angle first. Now, tangent is y/x, and so you're thinking, okay, y it has to be negative and x has to be positive, and you're okay to think that, but you need to double check to make sure. The second part of this is that the cosine of theta is greater than 0. And so ultimately you have to do a couple of things. You have to make sure that both of those stipulations, both of your original information, they have to be true. And remember, cosine of theta, if we think about a smart trig class, cosine is positive here because everything's positive here, and cosine is positive here. And it's cosine and secant are the only two that are positive there. So ultimately, our angle, if we were to draw the entire angle, certainly we would draw the initial side, right? And it would rotate around and it would actually end up here, okay? But we don't have to necessarily draw all that. We can just kind of draw the terminal side, basically. So we're going to, and I'll keep it in blue, but we're going to draw the terminal side. It's going to end up being here, okay? And then when we draw in the rest of our triangle, okay, you do not ever, 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 please don't ever connect to the y-axis. That's wrong. Don't do it. You're always connecting to the x-axis. Okay, and so ultimately, there's our right triangle, and our y is a -2. And again, technically it is the length of the side, but honestly we're writing it as a negative just to kind of remind ourselves that that's where, what quadrant we're going to be in. And when we go to grab our trig ratios, then ultimately we don't have to worry about signs or anything like that. Use the Pythagorean theorem to get that third side, okay? Technically it's our radius, right? So 4 plus 9 is 13. Right? So it's really just the square root of 13. You can't break that bad boy down. Okay? All right. Now we want the cosine. And cosine of theta, again, you can refer back to the top of your notes that have those relationships where it's going to be x over r, or you can think of, now that we have a triangle in front of us, we can think of, if we're sitting right here at this angle, and you're always going to sit at your origin for this, it's adjacent over hypotenuse, x over radius. So it is a 3 over a radical 13, which of course you have to rationalize. And that's a simple one to rationalize because nothing really reduces, and that's your answer. Now we want the cosecant of theta, and remember cosecant goes with sine, and sine is officially the y over the radius, right? The y over the radius, or opposite over hypotenuse. And so then cosecant is going to be hypotenuse over opposite, or radius over y. And this one you won't have to rationalize because your radical's in the numerator. Okay? So there are your two answers for that. And remember, again, you can be checking back to your PDF file of your notes in Schoology.